Good evening, America. This is your Silver Sun speaking, Jonathan, on April 10th, 2021. Today I would like to talk to you about time dilation. Time can be diluted. It can be compressed, expanded, and slowed down. One day in heaven can be compared to 1 year in the real world. I'll say that again. 1 day in heaven can be compared to 1 year in the real world. Here, now. There was a band that I was engrossed with in the real world, and their name is 28 Days. They were a band that had some good tasty bangers, like Rip It Up. They promoted a rock punk genre and would wear skateboard labels, clothes, hats, shoes, as they were sponsored in that regard. So back to what I'm talking about. I spent 3 years in Solaris, and that would have been compared to 3 days in heaven. Since I had been called by others on a regular basis a Christ, I would not want to make any comparisons, compare myself to other Christs or the original gangster, Jesus, Yeshua, Joseph Campbell. But I spent from January 2005 to January 2008, I had been going through torture, psychological abuse, pain on a very extreme level. I had been swallowed by some type of entity, angelic entity, or maybe it could have been demonic. But during that time from 2005 to 2008, 6, 7, 8, 3 years, which is compared to 3 days in heaven, I had gone and experienced the worst of humanity. On a biblical note, this can be compared to a biblical story about Jonah and the whale. Jonah had been, it's noted in the Gospels that Jonah's three days and 3 nights inside the whale is mentioned by Christ, by Jesus, as a sign or symbol of his own mission to go to the center of the earth to establish part of his stranglehold on his kingdom and domain, to establish him as a Lord, Jesus of hell. That didn't happen with me. I was not established as a king of an underworld, a subterranean state that is under the earth, is underground. I was tortured by Mossad for answers about my mission and my identity. I was basically destroyed as a person. And in just the months before, I was able to cross over into a dimension that's on the surface of Earth. I surfaced probably in the last month of my undergrad studies, probably November 2007, and it felt like an alien world. And I remember distinctly that because of the insomnia that would ensue with my condition, that my body had been, just the skin. You can look at the Last Judgment in the Sistine Chapel, and you see someone holding the skin of a body without its internal structure, a skeletal structure. And that's basically what happened to me. Not the body, but the skin. My skin was very unique in nature. It was pagan. It was Catholic. And it's from a certain type of kind of browny reddish granite, and it would have little sparks of quartz in it, which would shine and sheen in the sun. But yeah, my skin was taken by Steven Spielberg, who was still on my case, and who, in an attempt to take my divine right of kings from me, internally, my inner workings were intact, my structure was intact, but mentally and my skin, it was pretty jacked up, because this new skin had not been lived in. It felt like I had been cloned. It felt like it had been cloned. And I noticed significant differences before that day and after in the way my toes are shaped. I still have this mark on my arm. This burn from when I was 2 years old. And this mark is part of a prophecy that goes back to Republican roots that explains the the messianic mission that I was gonna aspire to. So yeah, so that's all I have to say for now. Um, I spent 3 years in a hellish environment where the majority of people were made um, atheists, communist, satanic. Um, yeah, and it was some on a supernatural level. It had it had the power to scare the living daylights out of you. Yeah, it was pretty full on, like power generation on a supreme level. They must have figured out cold fusion. It was something that was really something that stood out behind the scenes in terms of its invisible framework. It was something that on a supernatural level was entirely superior to anything I'd seen. So here we are, 25, 25 years. And I spent 3 years swallowed by a demonic angelic entity with the weight of the world, with cycle wars going on a daily basis, and me worried that I wasn't going to get out. It was torture, it was real pain, and real anguish. And there's people who do not recognize the struggle I went through in those years. And if they did recognize what happened, they wouldn't be going down this path now. They wouldn't. But they destroyed something perfect. Demonic Jews have, in their lore, have been known to revel in destroying perfect creations by God. And this was a Jewish conspiracy. So there you have it. A brief addition to my story. I hope you find it informative in regards to my background. And I hope you're well, and that and that you're having a good weekend, and you're not bored out of your brains with weekend wars that may manifest on these weekends. These people who war on weekends are bored shitless, and they really have no other point of existence but to create misery and pain and anguish in people's lives. That's my 2 cents. Good luck. Bon voyage. Adios, amigo. Hasta luego. Let's do this.